Good meeting.
Just throw it. I'll make it work.
Listen to you. We're just winging it. He doesn't need prep. What do you want to talk about? Hoops.
Basketball. Hopefully. Maybe some other stuff.
Look, I see us. I'm going to guess the mic's hot, but I'm going to wait for the text. He's got a text. Mic is hot, but I know it's hot because I'm seeing us, and I guarantee they're hearing us. Did I just start? I'm going to start. I feel like I should start. I'm just waiting for my text to come in, and it's not coming in. Dewberry, I'm starting. I'm going to go. Hi, everybody. What's up? Jake Chapman, Chrissy Birdsall. We're up here on the perch, and it's game day again. Magic game day, as a matter of fact. Magic with a win, and I don't even know if the word win justifies what we saw on Saturday. It was an extravaganza. It was a celebration. It was the culmination of this entire season, the highs, the lows, everything came to a head on Saturday. An absolute raucous atmosphere here at Kia Center as the Magic take a 2-1 series lead on the Detroit Pistons. 113-105 was the final score. Franz Wagner with a couple of big buckets in crunch time, and then Paolo Banchero, the Hail Mary, as Dante Marcatelli dubbed it. I like that.
That's good.
Shot off the back of the rim. The shooter's touch hung in the air for a solid pregnant pause, we'll call it. Entire arena was waiting with bated breath for that thing to come down. It fell, and the Magic end up going up 8 at that point. That was all she wrote, 113-105, and now a chance to build a 3-1 series lead tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Heading back to Michigan, game number 5 will be on Wednesday night. A golden opportunity tonight for the Orlando Magic, but I expect a sense of desperation that we have not even seen from this Detroit team. It is going to be an absolute battle. I know I keep saying that before every game, but tonight, you're really going to have to bury these guys. They will not go quietly. It'll be a very physical basketball game, to be sure. If you can knock down 15 threes, that'd be great. But I would expect to have to scrape and claw for every inch you get tonight. Should be an awesome, awesome atmosphere and should be an awesome basketball game, Chrissy.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a lot like the mentality of Detroit coming into what it was game 2. Backs against the wall. They're going to come out strong. They want to set the tone. They want to set the pace. And they're going to want to try and get up early, try and get back that road loss that they had in game 1. Now, for the Magic, they saw what happened in game 2. How do they respond to it in game 4? Well, we'll have to see. That was a big thing going around today. But before we get into any of that, can we talk about the crowd on Saturday? Oh, my goodness. I popped off my headset a few times while listening to you on the Magic Audio Network, and a little bit of radio background. When you have the headsets on, it kind of quiets things a little bit, so we're able to hear you. We can hear Jeff Turner. We can hear Brandon Kravitz. I took my headset off, and I couldn't even hear myself. I couldn't hear our radio engineer that's 2 feet away from me because that's how loud it was at the Kia Center. You guys brought the juice. You brought the energy, and we're going to need that again tonight to help the Magic get up on this series 3-1. It was an awesome atmosphere, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen.
All right, so Will's wondering if I wore the lucky Wu-Tang socks tonight. I did not, and the reason is because we're all in blue tonight. Did we call it a blue out? I don't know if they necessarily said that. It was a blackout on Saturday. Tonight, it's we'll have to come up with some sort of a witty name for it. I didn't think
let's
about
leave that to the chat. They're usually pretty
We'll
creative.
put that to the chat. The house will be decked in blue tonight. Looks good right now before anybody gets here. And the blackout, you heard Paulo talk about it on Saturday. It was pretty awesome. Just the visuals, and these guys absolutely notice it, to be sure. Bottom line is, no, I'm not wearing the Wu-Tang socks tonight. First off, they're not clean. And so, second of all, they didn't really match my blue getup. And third of all, whereas, head coaches, I know Jamal Mosley has been very superstitious. I think everything that he did in Game 3, he is trying to do again here tonight, to the point where certain people aren't getting daps as he walks by. If he didn't dap you before Game 3, don't expect one tonight. I'm talking about people who work for him.
Wow.
That's the inside scoop. So, yes, Jamal Mosley, very superstitious. I'm sure he'd be frustrated if he heard me say this. No, I'm not wearing the socks that I wore during Game 3. We won a basketball game in Game 1 with a different pair of socks on as well. So I'm not going to put that much stock. Maybe. I'm not positive. There's a chance.
I was in Detroit. I don't know.
I got a rotation going right now. I did catch up on laundry yesterday, but I didn't get to the Wu-Tang socks. So, no, the Wu-Tang socks are not being worn right now, but I do have some very nifty-looking blue dress socks that match the blue getup. And Chrissy and I are, we're
twinning.
We're right here. Blue Blazers up here on the radio deck. So, no, the crowd was awesome. I told you to expect it to be. I even go back to that Charlotte game when I don't think anybody in this building knew what to expect when the ball went up that night, coming off the Boston and the Philadelphia games, and they brought it from the opening tap that night. That was a postseason atmosphere when you would have understood if it was a tepid sort of approach to that game. A lot of us thought that was going to be the last game of the season, and I think a lot of people in the building thought the same. This Magic team and these Magic fans have brought it for this Magic team, regardless, win, lose, or draw. And it was a huge difference in the game, to be sure, on Saturday, and hopefully it will be again tonight. I know we've said it all season long, but they really mean it when they say that it made a massive difference. Jamal Mosley goes out of his way to make sure that the fans understand how much of an impact they make. Our team fuels up off of it, but the bottom line is you can make an impact when you're talking about calling out defensive coverages, when the Magic are on offense and Detroit's trying to communicate on D. All of that stuff weighs in, and when you saw the way the team finished, certainly the other night, and that moment when Paolo's three went through, it's something I'll never forget, but it was pretty spectacular, to be sure.
Right, and those shots at the end, you mentioned the Paolo three, Franz had another big three. That was huge, but honestly, what was bigger and what I think some of the players and the coaches talked about, they held Detroit scoreless in the final 252. Cade Cunningham had that free throw to go up 1 point. Magic called the timeout. They didn't score for the rest of the game.
The 9-0 run the rest of the way.
The 9-0 run. And that comes with the crowd. That comes with the energy. And from what the players and the coaches were saying, it comes with that poise and composure of what they've had throughout the season. They've been in these situations before. You can count so many games that there have been these close, tight-knit games in those final couple of moments in clutch time, and who's been able to come up and step out in the right moment. And in that game, Franz Wagner had those huge buckets at the end. Paolo Banchero had those huge ones at the end. And that was the big difference in that. But I'm looking at some of the comments right now. I saw Will Dawson. He wrote a novel before the show started of all of these different talking points. And the one thing I want to talk about in particular is Wendell Carter Jr. Can we tell him that every center in the NBA is Jalen Duren? Because I don't know what's going on with that matchup. He is defending Jalen Duren so well. It has been such a strong matchup for him. In Game 1 and Game 3, we've seen him with those double-doubles. We've seen him with the points. He had 17 points in that first game. He had 17 rebounds in the third game there. But one thing that stood out to me, I was going through the courtside, the post-game stats, and when Wendell Carter Jr. was defending Jalen Duren in Game 3, they were matched up for about 6 minutes of time. He held him to 1 of 7 from the field. That is what we need to see from Wendell Carter Jr. through the rest of the series. He has been a difference maker in this series so far against Detroit.
I'm just going through all of Will's notes. I didn't even see those. I had already scrolled to the bottom. This is really good stuff, Will. It always is. But you bring up a whole lot of good points. And now I'm sort of struggling with whether or not I answer what you said or what Will said. We'll kind of combine the two. Wendell Carter Jr., obviously, like, a lot of attention from Piston fans. I don't know how much you read into it, but Jalen Duren's taking the brunt of the criticism as if he is the reason the Magic are up 2-1. I pulled some of the numbers. Like, this is about as evenly matched a series as you can imagine. We've outscored them by 4 points. They've out-rebounded us by 3 rebounds. We're even assist-wise, 65-65. We're even fast break points-wise. They've taken, I think, 2 more free throws than we have, and we've made the same amount of free throws. Like, we're talking about a handful of three-pointers really being the difference in the basketball game, and those falling specifically in the fourth quarter in Game 3. What we've done is we have mitigated him, and I think that's a word that Will used. And it hasn't just been Wendell Carter. It's a great word. It hasn't just been Wendell Carter Jr. Goga Batadze has played really good basketball off the bench. It takes 5 guys when we're talking about paint points, when we're talking about rebounding. The things that Jalen Duren is associated with is really the Pistons' identity. And right now, we're playing Pistons basketball better than the Pistons are.
Right.
And Wendell Carter, and look, Magic basketball and Pistons basketball look very similar. But Wendell Carter Jr. is, like, bit by bit taking the Pistons' identity from them. And I truly believe that. And the 17 rebounds the other night, you talk about the fans down the stretch and what a big difference they made. That offensive rebound where he got fouled, he ended up splitting the pair late in that basketball game was about as big a swing sort of play as any of those buckets that were made late. So the post defense, getting your work done early, as Coach Mosley always talks about, that sort of battle for real estate when you're talking about racing down the floor and maybe getting an early seal for a quick bucket, when you're talking about fighting in the post, give an inch, take an inch. That is such a big part of this series, and Wendell Carter Jr. has carried the mantle for this team in such a massive way. And then when you go on down the bench, I mean, the bottom line is Isaiah Stewart has made a very, very minimal impact in this series. All the big boy stats are either sort of a wash or they're leaning in our favor. And so that's huge. And then you throw in, you get Dez going the other night. You have sort of, somebody get the hot hand, Franz in game 1 in the fourth quarter. You just need a little bit more offense if you're going to play them to a stalemate defensively and on the glass and as far as all the hustle stats go. We have disrupted their rhythm so much, and this goes across the board. Obviously, Wendell Carter Jr. taking care of some of the junk points and trying to limit offensive rebounds, et cetera, and stuff in the post close to the basket. But Franz Wagner and Anthony Black's defense has been absolutely exquisite, especially since game 1. Both of those guys are averaging combined 9 deflections per game. And so you just talk about being handsy. Coach Mosley always talks about showing your hands. I think the Magic have done such a good job of just upsetting anything that the Pistons are trying to get into. Yeah, Cade Cunningham has gotten his, although we did a great job turning him over and limiting him in game 3 as well. But sort of across the board, you got Wendell doing the dirty work down low, but you got AB and Franz on the perimeter. Jalen, obviously, just kind of wrecking sets. And it's just really difficult right now for Detroit to find any sort of an offensive rhythm. If we don't turn the ball over, if we knock down shots and don't let them get easy buckets in transition, they're really sort of stymied on the offensive end right now. That's how important Duren is to kind of manufacturing points close to the basket and on the offensive rebounds. And Wendell Carter Jr. has been able to limit that, and then everybody else has been able to limit everybody else.
Right. It's really been a defense by committee almost, just because of how much switching and how much different guarding they're doing. I go back to what Franz Wagner said in our courtside walk-off exclusive with you and Jeff Turner. He said, Wendell Carter Jr., yes, I'm the one that's guarding Cade Cunningham, but he is too because of how much you switch.
Yep.
And I thought that was really important to bring up because especially when it comes to a guy like Jalen Duren, I mean, yes, a lot of it is, okay, you hear the Pistons fans talking about his offense, but if he's averaging 11 less points than what he was during the regular season and almost actually over 20% less from the field, this from the postseason to the regular season, that's coming up with good defense as well, and Wendell Carter Jr. is a big reason about that. But you mentioned Cade Cunningham. I felt like this game, the game 3 on Saturday, was the first time that we really started to see the Magic defense get to him a little bit. Yes, he finished with, 27 points. 12 of those were in the fourth quarter, though. He held to 15 through 3 quarters, which seems like a decent amount, but for Cade Cunningham, who was averaging 33 coming into this game, that was a pretty good effort by the Magic. And they also forced 9 turnovers on him, too, and that was something that the Detroit staff, Asar Thompson, J.B. Bickerstaff, they were talking about the turnovers specifically. That's been a big issue for them in this series, that the Magic are really getting to them with those deflections, with those steals like you mentioned, and causing those easy turnovers to get those buckets in transition. That's something that the Magic, when they do that well, it's one of their better strong suits of the team this year, but it's been really apparent through these first 3 games against the Pistons.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham has done a whole lot of damage, but as I mentioned, he turned the ball over 9 times the other night, and he's averaging over 6 turnovers a game for the series. So the Magic have gotten into him. They've been able to slow him down at times. I think it's a great point you made. It's not one guy. Franz Wagner did a fantastic job checking him the other night, but Wendell switching out on the perimeter on almost every play. And that is part of what we've seen right now. Like, it's pretty simple. Cade Cunningham is so good that when you don't have guys like Wendell Carter, like there aren't very many 5s who could switch out in front of Cade Cunningham and stay in front of him and slow him down. That's the beauty of our roster. That's what Jeff Weltman, Anthony and Anthony Parker and friends deserve so much credit for is building this versatility and defensive-minded roster. And now all of a sudden, you can switch just about anything you want. You feel like your center can hold his own in front of a wing or a point guard. You feel like your guards can hold their own for a second in the post because you got stout, strong guys like Jalen Suggs and like Desmond Bane. That's the beauty of the way this whole thing was built. And so, yes, it takes everybody playing their role, but I think everybody has done an outstanding job of just kind of messing them up a little bit. And especially if you're talking about the point that Will made, which I thought was pretty good, about secondary playmaking. Like, Will's point is he wants us to try to get Cade Cunningham in foul trouble early tonight. Love the idea. I don't know if it's that simple. And the bottom line is Cade's going to play. Cade will be on the floor for 35 minutes, even if he has 4 personal fouls early. But the bottom line is they do not have very many answers when Cade is off. Dennis Jenkins was a nice story in the regular season. He hasn't made a very big impact in this series. And the bottom line is, like, there's just, like, where else do you go? They don't have another guard. It is a very heliocentric offense when you're talking about Cade Cunningham and the role that he plays. And so figuring out a way to for them to find secondary playmaking is a huge question mark right now for JB Bickerstaff and friends, and it's going to be interesting. Do they have any sort of other wrinkles they can throw at you where they're running offense through anybody else, not wearing number 2? So far, I have not seen any.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. And on the Magic side of things, we'll hear from Coach Jamal Mosley in a couple of minutes. How do you make those adjustments, right? Well, you know, in the first 2 games, Cade Cunningham got his, but you saw Tobias Harris get a decent amount of points. He's actually been the one guy, at least on the offensive end, that's been generating some points and momentum for them. I think he's averaging about 18 through the postseason, where he was averaging about 13 in the regular season. So he's taken a little bit of a leap for this team. And I've seen on Detroit Twitter a little bit of, okay, how can they get him a little bit more involved? Because he seems to be the only other person that's getting consistent scoring minutes for the Detroit Pistons. But for the Magic, it's all about those adjustments that you got to make coming into Game 4. And earlier today in shoot-around, I was able to listen to Coach Mosley and some of the players, and they said that it's going to be a lot like Game 2. They know that Detroit's coming in. They're a little bit desperate. They need to come out and get that punch early. And I know it was Desmond Bane that said it, that they have to shut that down immediately. It's a little bit easier when you have that home crowd behind you, but that's going to be a huge key for the Magic in this one.
Yeah, to be sure. I think we got Coach Mosley down there. We'll go to him in 1 minute. Actually, yes, we do. Look, we got the monitors there. So,
Coach, I asked you this before Game 3, but heading into Game 4, coming into this building, how do you feel about your group's mindset and approach heading into such a critical contest?
Well, yeah, shoot-around was good. The guys' demeanor, focus, their ability to for knowing what we were preparing for, it was good. I think the guys are in the right headspace for this moment.
What do you remind them about pregame when you talk to them tonight?
Yeah, interesting part about that is I think you just have to trust your instincts and don't hesitate in anything you're doing, because at this point you know this team, you know what they've done, you know what they're capable of doing, how they've come out. Trust what we've done, and then just continue to get better at the things that we've done well, and then change the things that we need to that we didn't do so well.
When you get to this point of the series, how do you remind players, or how do you coach players that it's the margins, it's the smaller things, not necessarily the bigger things that determine who wins close games in these playoff series?
Well, those are easy things to show on film. Reminder that in close games, this is what it is. It's a box out here. It's a turnover here. It's taking care of the ball here. It's getting to the free throw line in these possessions, because it is a possession battle. And I think the team that wins those usually wins the game. And I think that's what we've constantly tried to remind our guys, through film, through walkthrough, through the detailed work of, small, setting the right screen and the right angle. Those matter in the series like this.
Coach, what is it about Franz's approach that he's been able to go from a month ago being on the sideline, rehabbing an injury, to these past 3 games, picking up the responsibility of not only guarding Cade Cunningham, their MVP candidate, but kind of winning a lot of the matchup stats when they're guarding each other?
Just pure competitor, professional, wants to figure out ways to help his team win. And that started when he was, rehabbing, and the way he took the approach to do it, one piece at a time. One treatment, one rehab at a time, and then watching the film, studying it the right way, what he needed to do to get better, what he sees his opponent doing, and then as time went on and getting more minutes and more conditioning in, you can see that as the games have gone on.
Jamal, you guys know each other very well at this point. Are you worried that there could be a boiling over point with tempers? Do you have to tell guys to play smart but still be aggressive?
No, the word I used after our game was composure, and I think that's the one that sticks. You want to be, not hesitant in anything you do. You don't want to react to anything that anyone's doing. So we've seen this story before in that regard, so it shouldn't be a surprise. And the reason you react is because you're surprised that it's happening. And our guys have seen it happen, so there's no need to respond that way. Just do the things that we know we're capable of doing, and we know exactly what we're going to see, so there's no need to respond to that.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Head coach Jamal Mosley. Not a lot more to say. We got him this morning at shoot-around. We got him post-game on Saturday. Yeah, I don't know how many more ways you can say there's going to be adjustments. We'll adjust to the adjustments, and et cetera, et cetera. But he's fired up. We're fired up. Welcome back. Jake Chapman, Chrissy Birdsall here with you on the perch as we get set for Game 4. Magic up 2-1 against the Pistons. We will have a 7:30 pregame show on our flagship station, beginning with Brandon Kravitz. That's Magic tonight, 96.9 The Game here in Central Florida. Tip-off at 8 o'clock. You can always stream us on the Orlando Magic app, the iHeart app, or outside of the listening area on Sirius XM or on NBA League Pass Audio. There was a question there towards the end about controlling your emotions, which is one of my keys for tonight. And just as series go on and you get more familiar, and familiarity breeds contempt, and so you get a little bit more contemptible and contemptuous, et cetera, with your opponents. And as you hear that and feel that sense of desperation ratchet up, which is what we expect to see from the Pistons here tonight, the officials, the opponents, you have to control your emotions. That next play mentality that Jamal Mosley always talks about. There is going to be something that frustrates you tonight. There is going to be something that makes you furious tonight. You got to put your head down and let it roll off your chest. And I understand that it's a lot easier to say than do. But the bottom line is, Isaiah Stewart, for instance, if he gets in Wendell's head or Franz's or Paolo's head, we're losing that trade.
Right.
Isaiah Stewart will get himself thrown out of the game if it takes one of our starters out of the game. That's a win for the Detroit Pistons. So our guys, I think, understand the opportunity that they have here, and I think they understand that getting mad at the officials or getting mad at Isaiah Stewart or whoever is going to keep you from that goal. But in the moment, it's going to be really difficult to kind of brush that stuff aside and keep on playing, and you just have to in a situation like this.
I think that's been one area that we've really seen this team grow since the beginning of the season. You think about some of those earlier games where if there was a missed call or somebody was getting fouled at the rim, they would stop, they would talk to the refs as the other team's running back down the floor. And I feel like, especially in this series, Coach Mosley said composure has been the word that they've been using. And you think about that last game especially, it felt like things were starting to maybe boil over a little bit more. I know Desmond Bane talked about it after the game, said these are just two physical and defensive teams, and they're getting to know each other, and there's more to play. So, of course, when you see a team 4, 5, 6 times, that you're going to get those frustrations that might boil over in certain points. But Coach Mosley said the composure has to be there. They can't react because they've already seen it. You think about Game 2, you saw the desperation and the physicality that Detroit came out in that second game. You saw what they did in the second half of that game. So the Magic shouldn't be surprised by any of it. So that's going to be a really big thing down the line. And I mean, you think about some of the physicality and intensity. I mean, I'm going all the way back to the NBA Cup of Philadelphia, of Andre Drummond going full Fighting Irish to try and throw Wendell Carter Jr. off his guard, and he wasn't fazed by it at all. So
that was my profile picture for a good 2 months on Twitter.
It was. So if he's not fazed by that, then they shouldn't be fazed by what's going on with Detroit in this Game 4. They're going to try and push and shove and do things, try and get away from the refs and make it more physical. But you have to just focus on yourself, especially when you're in the lead. Keep that composure when it gets down late, and I think they'll be fine and better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be one of those tricks tonight. The Pistons are going to feel like the world is against them in this building, obviously. And so for them, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to sort of channel that fighting energy. We need to be smarter than them. They're the ones with a sense of desperation. We're the ones trying to push this thing to a potential make or break Game 5 on Wednesday night in Detroit. So I had that as one of my keys. Another one of them is just make your free throws. I think that is going to be a huge swing stat here tonight. We got to the free throw line finally 33 times in Game 3, made 26 of them, much closer to our regular season averages. I got a feeling this is going to be a heavy free throw attempt game for both teams because of what we just got done talking about. Get there and then make them. That is something that we have done a little bit better than them. We're at 75%. They're at 73.3. But the bottom line is I would expect to see a whole bunch of free throw attempts tonight. Paulo got there, 11 times, I believe it was? I'm sorry, 14 times. He made 11.
Right.
In Game 3, Desmond Bane gave it 25 points, made 7 triples, did not attempt a free throw. And so it's pick your poison with Des. If you're going to take him away, if they're going to top lock him like we heard all season, and if the Pistons are going to stay glued to him and chase him around every screen, he's going to have looks dive into the rim, get into those scoopers, finishing with either hands, and then getting to the free throw line. And so I look for, obviously, we're in pretty good shape if Desmond Bane is shooting 7, 8, 9 free throws tonight, because typically that means he's making 7, 8, 9 free throws. But between Paulo, Dez, and I'll throw Franz in there, if we can get those guys up around 20 combined free throws or even more just between those three, then I think that's a huge stat. And I'm pretty comfortable with everybody knocking down their free throws when they get there, at least the guys who do get there a lot. Franz, Jalen and Dez specifically. Wendell and Paulo are the two guys that, Paulo knocked him down the other night, but he gets there so frequently. It makes a big difference for our offense if Paulo's shooting 69% at the free throw line versus 75% at the free throw line. You're talking about another couple points, and you're talking about a guy who is averaging over 9 free throw attempts per game. It's a pretty big swing.
Absolutely, and as Mosley just said, it's when you get into these game 4, 5, 6, it's all about that possession battle, those little bit of details, and that was something I was just looking at. And whoever's getting the more shots obviously is getting the wins, and it sounds like one of those like Booker McFarland stats, but it's true. I mean, every couple of possessions, whether you're getting them off turnovers, whether you're getting the second chance opportunities off of the glass, having an opportunity just to get 1 or 2 or more shots. And for the Magic, I mean, especially the 3-ball, it felt like this Game 3 was the first time we really saw that 3-ball starting to fall for them. I don't know if it's the sight lines at Little Caesars Arena that they're not used to, or they just really like the sight lines here at Kia Center, but they were 15 of 33 from beyond the arc in their win, and that was a huge thing. Yes, Desmond Bane getting 7 of them was a huge help, but it was the first time that 3-ball was starting to fall, and we talked about it in the last game that if they get that rolling, then this team could be pretty unstoppable.
We got some comments coming here. I'm checking. I'm still trying to figure out if it was a blackout on Saturday, what are we calling it here today?
I saw Blue Wave, I think I saw.
Blue Wave is pretty good.
Blue Flood, I think, was from Unlikely Jellyfish.
Blue Flood's
Those were
not bad. Blue Monday, I got here. I just did a little Google search.
Okay.
Is it Monday today? Yes, it is.
It's Monday.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a sad thing. Blue Collar, black and blue. I don't know. I'm still working on it.
We're
Blue Magic. That's not. We don't want to make reference to that, I don't think. All right. Other one that I had tonight is rebounding. And it's a very simple stat, but rebounding has been massive key throughout the series thus far. As I mentioned before, 138-135 is the total rebounds tally through 3 games.
Wow.
3 rebounds separate these two teams through 3 basketball games, and it's been a massive key, and it's been a huge key throughout the regular season for this Pistons team, and it's one that we've taken away from them. We're averaging 12.7 offensive rebounds per game compared to their 11. And second chance points, they're up on us. They're averaging 14.7 second chance points per game, but we're at 12.0. It just hasn't been a very big swing stat, and part of the reason that there have been so many second chance opportunities for Detroit is because of how poorly they're shooting the basketball. Both teams shooting the ball poorly, but both teams sub 44% from the field. So likely there will be a lot of offensive rebound opportunities here tonight, and I just have to think whoever cleans them up and whoever gets any sort of junk points, and if you have a big advantage in any of those stats, points off turnovers, points on the break, second chance points, those are the margins that we're talking about. Make a huge difference here tonight. If anything, I expect Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, and anybody on the floor, Tobias, any of their bigs to be crashing glass tonight and trying to make a resounding statement. That is one of those, it's sort of simple, see ball, get ball, and we've done a really good job of taking away that part of their identity, but they're a very good rebounding team. I expect to see them scraping and clawing on the glass tonight. Huge swing stat.
Yeah, I think that's going to be big. I think that the points in the paint are going to be really big, as they've been all throughout this series so far. And then even just what we were talking about before for Detroit, they want to clean up those turnovers a little bit. That was something that they had talked about. Asar Thompson said just coming out and playing with intensity, that they felt like they were playing behind the full game. So it's going to be whoever comes out and throws that first punch. I think the first 10, 12 minutes, that first quarter is going to be very telling of what kind of Detroit team are we going to get coming off their response. And then how does the Magic respond to that is going to be really big. The Magic trying to do something that they haven't done in a long time, get to that second round, and you've heard the motivation. Paulo Banchero talking about those last 2 years, the last 2 series. They want to get over that hump, and I think this first quarter is going to be really telling of how they're able to respond and show that maturity to make it to the next round.
Yeah, Kyle Gaming says, got to stay out of foul trouble tonight. That's going to be massive, obviously. Let's see, Unlikely Jellyfish, Beautiful Blue, Deep Blue, Nothing. I'm still working on this. It's not...
By the time
it's not really coming together. I know. I feel like, well, here's the thing, right? Is the Magic are trying to do, for one thing, something that's only been done 6 times in NBA history, which is in 8 defeating a 1. So the Magic are trying to do something that's only been done and only happens once in a blue moon. Okay, you follow me? Now, see, tonight's going to be a physical basketball game, so when all is said and done, I expect both teams to be black and blue.
Okay.
And bruised, and hopefully the Pistons are heading back to Detroit singing the blues.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
After tonight's game.
Yes,
all right.
Dr. Seuss.
That is it. I am done. We are off into the deep blue nothingness. If you're heading down to the arena, make sure you wear your blue shirt. If not, there's going to be one on your seat. Wear your shirt. Wear the shirt, please. And what we got fans and stuff up here, too. All kinds of fun stuff here at the arena. Shout out to everybody who's been papering the house in between games. It was an electric atmosphere on Saturday. It will be once again here tonight. We appreciate you guys for tuning in all season long, and we ain't done yet. We know we'll be back for Game 6. That is, well, no, I guess we don't know that. But we know, bottom line is that we got a Game 5 coming up on Wednesday. You and I will not be doing a stream for that. I will be at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. But hopefully we're talking about the Magic potentially closing out the series on Wednesday. It's going to be a tough one tonight. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we appreciate you guys so much. You can check us out. Our broadcast begins at 7:30, 96.9 The Game, the iHeart app, the Orlando Magic app outside of the listening area on Sirius and on NBA League Pass audio as well. She's Chrissy. I'm Jake. Go Magic!
every time, overcoming every hurdle, dedicated and sublime. With this passion, we gon' hurt you, something surgical. We hope to reach the masses with these verses. Keep inspiring till it's curtains, keep igniting fire in you, never stopping. We give praise. Here's the menu for today. Here's the strategy to play. Never give up, keep the faith, keep it safe. Yeah, we going and we going. Every time we hit the show, they making noises so explosive. We going up, going, we going up. Every answer has a question. Yeah, we going up. Still there's room for expansion. Has a question. Yeah, we going up. Still there's room for expansion.
Here are the top 5 Orlando Magic storylines from Game 3 against the Detroit Pistons. Clutch plays. For the second straight year, Franz Wagner has come up big down the stretch of a close playoff game. Last season, it was in Game 3 of Orlando's first-round series against Boston when he connected on these 2 driving layups. This year in Game 3 against Detroit, he stepped up with a pair of clutch jumpers. Here, a mid-range step back over Cade Cunningham that put the Magic back in front with 2.5 minutes left, and this spot-up three-pointer also over Cunningham with 1:46 remaining off a Paolo Banchero kickout. Banchero shortly after got this game-sealing straightaway triple to fall after it bounced high off the back rim. After giving up a 15-point lead earlier in the fourth, Orlando ended the game on a 9-0 run, with Detroit missing its final 4 floor shots and committing a turnover on one of its other late possessions. 3-point shooting. Over these last 3 playoff series and their play-in tournament games combined, so that's the Cleveland series 2 years ago, the Boston one last year, and this ongoing Detroit one, as well as last year's play-in game against Atlanta and the 2 play-in games this year at Philadelphia and versus Charlotte, the Magic have shot 26.8% from three-point range on the road and 33.1% from 3 at home. This is one of the several reasons they are 1-9 in the road postseason games and 7-1 in the home ones, and it was a huge component in their Game 3 victory on Saturday. Orlando connected on 15 of its 33 attempts from beyond the arc, which is 45.5%. Desmond Bane tied Dennis Scott for the most threes by a Magic player in a postseason game, with 7 of them. The only game where they had a better three-point percentage in these last 8 home postseason games was in Game 4 against the Cavs in 2024 when they shot 46.2%. Paolo's playmaking. Drawing fouls using his blend of power and finesse, which he did a lot of in Game 3, going 11 of 14 from the free throw line, and his ability to find teammates with all the attention he gets from opponents are probably Banchero's 2 greatest strengths. The latter was showcased on many plays in Game 3, which led to him accumulating 9 assists. He got double-teamed a lot, 19% of the time he touched the ball in fact, and he continuously was able to make the right reads. His spray-out passing created many good looks, as you see here. In the regular season, his teammates shot 40.7% from three-point distance off his kickouts. Biggest team strengths and weakness. Offensive rebounding, turnovers, and the three-point shooting, as highlighted earlier, were arguably the Magic's most significant strengths in Game 3. The Magic pulled down 14 offensive boards, which led to 19 second-chance points, and they committed 14 turnovers, which is a good enough number against this Pistons team that thrives off forcing opponents into live ball errors. Meanwhile, Orlando capitalized frequently off Detroit's mistakes, scoring 24 points off the Pistons' 16 turnovers. Paint scoring was their main weakness. The Magic shot just 46.2% in the paint, largely because of how good the Pistons were at packing the paint and cutting off driving lanes. Defensive intensity. This series, as expected, has been extremely physical. The ball pressure by both teams has been smothering. What has stood out most, though, has been Orlando's versatility on defense. Now with more guys back in the lineup, we really can see how many multi-dimensional defenders they have. Wendell Carter Jr. has done an incredible job guarding both around the basket and on the perimeter. The trio of Franz, Anthony Black, and Jamal Cain have all made Cade work really hard to generate offense. Jalen Suggs, of course, has been causing havoc with his energy and pressure, and collectively, they've made it extremely hard for Jalen Duren to get deep position on his rolls inside. In the regular season, he ranked 4th in the league in most buckets off lobs with 80 of them. Through the first 3 games of this series, he only has 3 of them. So that will wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.
Yeah, we in the O. Lights glow. Game time feel. Game time feel. Courtside countdown. Yeah, you know the deal. Yeah. Step in the arena, feel the baseline pound. Clock ticking down on that courtside countdown. Breaking plays down, every move dissected. Magic on the rise, yeah, the squad well respected. From the draft picks to the hardwood grind, young stars flashing. Got that future shine, fast breaks, no breaks. Crowd get loud, every highlight moment got the city feeling proud. Talk stats, matchups, who hot this week, who locking down defense, who dropping 30 easy. From the bench to the starters, deep rotation flow. Every episode lit, yeah, we run the show. Courtside countdown, feel the magic in the air. Blue and black pride, yeah, we take.
By Hard Rock Bet, Kendra Douglas Savage says, the gang is here, we're ready, we're gonna get you ready for tonight's game. The Magic taking on the Detroit Pistons, game 4 of this playoff series. The game will be on NBC at Peacock. That game is gonna tip off at 8 p.m. with coverage starting at 7:30, but you got us. And that's the exciting part. I've already seen the comments coming in. We're gonna talk about all of the things, but this time we have a blue out. Do we want to call it a blue out? What are we calling it?
I know. Rock the blue.
Rock the blue.
The boys in blue.
Yes.
Everything blue. Whatever you want to call it. Just put the shirt on.
Just wear the shirt. Wear the shirt. As you guys all know, continue to give us your comments so Dan and I can get to them and talk about a couple things. I want to go ahead and get to the highlights because there are comments in here about what Wendell Carter Jr. were doing, what Franz was doing, what Paolo was doing. So let's talk about game 4, though. I mean, clearly a big one. The Magic outscored Detroit 35-28 in that second quarter, which of course helped create that separation for the Magic to continue on a run and get the win. I mean, they capitalized on Detroit's turnovers, 24 points off of 16 turnovers. Now the Pistons, they recorded 19 points off the Magic's 14 turnovers. Jalen Duren recorded a playoff career high of 5 block shots. This was a great game 3. What did you like about the way that the Magic were able to dominate and keep their dominance strong throughout the whole game?
Yeah, you touched on one of the things, really making the Pistons pay for turnovers, scoring 24 points in that manner. Cade Cunningham responsible for 9 of them, and that's a testament to Franz Wagner, Anthony Black, all the different bodies the Magic threw at him throughout the night, and to the Magic's team defense in general, because so often Cade will call for switches, and whether it's Wendell Carter Jr., etc. on him, the Magic's defense stayed diligent and got in passing lanes and came up with big plays. So that was a big portion of it. And then second chance opportunities I thought really helped the Magic. And most importantly, the ability all night to stay aggressive, get downhill, and get finishes at the rim or get to the free throw line, I thought was huge. And lastly, the Magic's outside shooting heating up a bit. Desmond Bane knocking down 7 triples in that one. That was big.
It sure was. The Magic will end up winning that game 113-105, your final score for that game. You mentioned it. So many big opportunities for them. You see the total rebounds, the assists. What's interesting is that, the Pistons out, they had more assists in this game than the Magic did, but it came down to that shooting. You see it right there, the three-point percentage, 45% compared to the 34% right there. That's what really, I think, made a difference. You just mentioned Desmond Bane. So many good things happened with this group, with this team that, you love to see. We're already going to talk about Desmond Bane. You said it yourself. He had 7 3-pointers that made it in game. That was 7 of 9 from the 3-point line. That tied a franchise record for the most threes made in a playoff game. 3D coming in and definitely giving him his props on that one. So ultimately, this is the game you wanted from Desmond Bane because he was struggling. I don't want to say struggling. That's a tough word. It was hard for him to get into an offensive flow in game 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, this was a type of Desmond game I think we were all expecting, being back on this home floor, having that crowd behind you. And really what the Magic did was made them pay anytime they lost Desmond Bane. So I think that's where the transition opportunities are so important.
Yeah.
When you get caught up in cross matches, the defense isn't set, you kick it out to Desmond Bane and he knocks down the open shots. So huge because you know what that does. When they have to close out to him even harder, it opens opportunities for him to drive to the rim, to create for others, and just creates headaches for the Pistons defense. So when he has games like this, it sets up for guys like Paolo and Franz to deliver the finishing blows like they did in Game 3.
25 points for Desmond Bane, 7 rebounds. He was shooting 50% from the field. You want to see another performance like that out of Desmond
Absolutely.
Bane. I think he needed that for the confidence level. I think he needed that in a sense of, I thought it was really interesting after that game. His teammates were asked, when you got Desmond Bane into this Magic squad, is this what you were hoping for? He asked, one of the reporters asked Paolo and Franz this, and it is.
Yeah.
This is what you are hoping for when you get a guy like Desmond Bane to come on this team. And you have Desmond and Paolo warming up right now. Those two are just so good right now.
No question about it. I think when it comes to Desmond Bane, he's been everything and more than advertised. And when you make a big offseason acquisition like that, you really don't know what type of person you're bringing in the locker room. And whether it's been in his on-court performance, he's exceeded expectations, both with his outside shot, his ability to drive the basket and score, and then his locker room. He's been an amazing voice, been the steadying flow of the ship for the Magic throughout the season, playing in all 82 games, playing through things early in the playoffs, whether it was illness, etc., battling through that, and now starting to really find his flow in the postseason and deliver big performances like we saw in Game 3.
I love his numbers. You see that in the postseason so far with these 3 games. I'm not mad at those numbers because obviously he's still finding a groove, but this is a guy, too, that's also been in the postseason. That's not new to him. What's new to him is this rockin' crowd and the Magic wearing blue tonight and the Magic wearing black in Game 3. That's what's new to him, and that's what he's feeding off of. I want to get to some of your comments and things that you guys were saying because you guys are hitting me with everything great, and I hope to get to all of your comments. One of the things that was actually mentioned, which is so interesting. So KR Solano, I don't know if you've been in, well, he clearly, I forget, we do mention, we do play Coach Mosley's presser. So he probably got that from that. But he talks about Franz on Cade is the key to locking him or at least slowing him down from getting down to whatever he wants. Franz did such a good job on Cade Cunningham in Game 3.
Yeah, look, if you could repeat what you did in Game 3 in Game 4, I thought that's a perfect outcome for the Magic. Look, we all know that Cade's going to score in the 20s. That's a given. But if you could make him do it inefficiently like he did, only making 8 of his 20-something shots, and at the same token having 9 turnovers and disrupting that assist-to-turnover ratio for the Pistons, we all know the Magic are at their best offensively when their defense is fueling their offense. How do you create that? With deflections, with turnovers? And it's no surprise that Franz Wagner, Anthony Black, both averaging over 2.5 deflections, steals a game. AB doing it in very limited minutes. So it just shows what kind of nightmare defensively those two guys are for them. And that's just a point of attack, guys. That's not even getting into guys like Wendell Carter Jr., who are holding it down in the rim and really being the anchor for the Magic's back-end defense.
Yeah, I want to say thank you guys for continuing to keep the comments coming. I'm getting to as many as I can because you guys have so many. One of them I thought was, I want to give our producer a little shout out because Jay Curve noticed that there was a new track being played while on our intro. So Jay Curve saying a new track. Y'all should have tapped into me in this feature for real, for real. Maybe we'll get you on a feature next time, Jay Curve. But shout out to our producer because he did tell me this was a new song. So claps, little taste for you. Okay. And then I want to talk about Wendell Carter Jr. One of the guys, Tyler Morrison. Wendell Carter Jr. went crazy last game, 17 rebounds. KR Solano's talking about 17 boards from Wendell Carter Jr. was what we needed from him. He was great, played 30-plus minutes with the same energy. He's looking for an encore performance. Let's talk about those boards. I mean, what was that? He pulled down 17, a career high 17, playoff career high 17 boards, and that was the most rebounds by any Orlando Magic player in a playoff since April 2011, with Dwight Howard, of course, having 17 boards against in Atlanta. So for him to be in that realm, to be in that moment, that was just an incredible performance from Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah, this just shows you, this series right here, the value of Wendell Carter Jr. because he's doing it efficiently. Offensively, 14 points on 55% shooting. Without any plays drawn up for him, this is all self-created stuff, whether it's finding pockets in the Pistons' defense and scoring or second chance opportunities. The 17 rebounds were huge in that game in determining the outcome. And then on top of it, his continued defense on Jalen Duren, who is an all-star in this league, a great player, and Wendell's doing everything in his power to limit his effectiveness. That has not gone unnoticed to his teammates and to the national media.
Yes, that's what's been so good. And it goes to this one comment from Irish saying, keep continuing to shock the world. I think what I've really appreciated was after game 1, some people were talking about, this is a fluke. This isn't. But now the Magic are up 2-1 in this series. They're continuing to show they want this. They want to be a part of this. They want to move forward. And now I think they have a really good chance of getting a win here tonight.
Yeah, and this just goes to show you what we've been saying all season long. When the Magic get healthy, playing with the right mindset, that this team can go toe-to-toe with anyone in this league. And right now they're going toe-to-toe with the number 1 seed, who I'm sure is thinking to themselves, this isn't an 8 seed. This is not the type of team we were expecting to have to face when we earned the number 1 record in the Eastern Conference. But that's where the Magic found themselves. And rather than going, woe is me, we're playing the number 1 seed, they've said this is a new season. We believe we could go toe-to-toe with anyone. And not only did they say it, but their on-court play is showing they believe it, and it's part of their DNA.
Yeah, I want to get some more comments. Will Dawson said, Detroit sings the blues, we play the song. Hi Go Me says, confidence, confidence, confidence. Another one is Magic fans since the Shaq days. The blue looks fantastic. I wish I could have one of those T-shirts. Speaking of one of those T-shirts, I think we have one of those T-shirts now, and I want to show you guys what it looks like because it's a good one.
These are well-designed.
It's a well-designed shirt right here because the Magic will be wearing, the Magic fans will be wearing this shirt here tonight.
Put on the shirt.
Wear the shirt.
Because they will embarrass you in this building.
Will. They sure will.
Public shaming is effective, as we saw in Game 3. The Jumbotron, the in-arena crew, was on it.
They were.
And the fans responded I heard from people who were at the game that people were getting shamed for not wearing the shirt. And when you looked at that crowd, it was a sea of black in this one. This time it's going to be a sea of blue.
Yes.
So make sure if you're here, put on the shirt. Even if you're at home, throw on the blue.
Throw on the blue. We can feel it. Don't be that fan. Don't be that fan. We don't want to see you on the Jumbotron because they will put you on the Jumbotron. So we don't want to see the Jumbotron fans get told to wear the shirt. Just wear it right now.
Yeah.
It's a nice shirt.
It's
a nice
great.
shirt
Well
to wear.
designed.
Well designed. It has the Magic logo, Magic on here with the logo on top too. This is what you want for playoffs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's Gary Bassing, our team photographer, approved in terms of the quality of the shirt. So high-level praise for the Magic T-shirt, and I think the fans are going to be rocking them tonight, and it's going to be a sea of blue for the Pistons, who are hopefully, as Will Dawson said, singing the blues after Game 4 tonight.
Yes, more comments too. Is paint the town blue. I like this one. And then I'm continuing to get more comments from you guys. I love that you guys are continuing to be so active. I'm gonna get to as many as I can. Before I do, while I get to through your comments, P5 just walked off the court. Let's talk about his performance in Game 3 as well. It just feels like with Paolo Banchero continuing to be playoff P, it's what you love about seeing from him. What have stood out to you about playoff P? 25 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, flirting with the triple-double. I want him to get a triple-double in this series.
Look, in terms of matchups, Detroit is a difficult matchup for Paolo because they have so many defenders they can throw at him. They're so good at, controlling the paint and taking that away. Yet, I thought in Game 3, Paolo played one of the best cerebral games of his young career where he had real control of the game. Every time he saw a double, he passed it out effectively. When they weren't, he drove full force to the rim, was able to finish and get to the free throw line. He had 25 points, and as I said, 35% isn't his best shooting number, but he hit them when they counted, whether that be that big three at the end or getting to the free throw line and scoring in that fashion. I thought he was fantastic with the way he played the game. If he did that, if he does that again tonight, I think the basketball gods will reward him, as he alluded to, and that shooting percentage will continue to jump because he was just so effective. To me, that's the ideal type of P5 game, playing the way he did in Game 3.
He said it after that game. You just let the P5, you let the basketball gods reward you, and that three-point shot went in, and that's what was really fun. Is that these guys are having fun out here. That's what you love to see. When you have a squad that knows what they're capable of, it makes all the difference. So some more comments we're getting. One of them from Jay Curb. He said, "Do you feel? How How do I feel about the Oracle of Orlando? I think that's what he wants to call the arena. Since I predicted this greatness, I predicted that the Magic
That would be you.
playing.
You would be the Oracle
Oh,
of
I'm
Orlando.
the Oracle of Orlando.
You're the predictor.
Oh,
You predicted this matchup early on, so you're the Oracle of Orlando, the
Okay.
psychic who kind of
Okay.
envisioned,
I did.
foresaw
I did.
that this matchup could be good for the Magic heading into the postseason.
I did, because I knew it would, though. I knew it would. The way that they have played against each other. And one of the comments I really appreciated from Coach Mosley, if you guys listen to his presser, him talking about the composure part of this team.
Yeah.
He said, you can't let the aggressiveness and the fights get the best of you. You already know what's going to come. You know what's going to happen, so keeping your composure. But by golly, I love it. I love the aggressiveness. I love the energy. I love the feistiness of this. This is what I wanted out of a playoff series. This is what I wanted out of two teams who know each other very well, have the same similar style of play. Dan, if I'm predicting greatness, this is the greatness that I wanted.
Yeah, what I really liked was that resiliency you alluded to, because we've seen with Magic teams in the past when they were younger and inexperienced that if a team cut down a 15-point, 17-point fourth quarter lead and took a 1-point advantage of their own, how would they react to it? This Magic team showed no sign of being affected by it. Instead, Franz Wagner answers with a big bucket, regains the lead, and then after not hitting a three all night, calls for the ball, drills a three-pointer, gives the Magic a 4-point advantage, and then how do they respond? They get another stop. Paolo Banchero, no hesitation, hits that big three that bounced up, and the Magic walk away with the victory, shutting down the Pistons the rest of the way, closing it on a 9-0 run. I just thought great resiliency by this young squad.
Before we get to some of the comments said today at shoot-around, some of the things that people have said is it feels like AB and Tristan are due for big offensive games. And then another comment says, I want to see AB or Tristan de Silva have a good offensive night or someone off the bench. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't go so deep in your bench when it comes to playoffs. You probably go 8 total, essentially?
Yeah, 8 or 9 is usually your typical rotation. During the regular season, you may go 10, 11. But that tightens up as the playoff goes on because, look, you want your starting 5 to be out there as much as possible, and you want your guys that are giving you the most in the rotation to give you as much as possible. So that's what the Magic are doing at this stage of the game, and it's working for them.
It is. And then what I would say to that, too, is you bring a guy like AB and Tristan de Silva in between as one of those 8, and they're doing a great job at playing their role and continuing to do what the Magic need to be done. I mean, there was one point where Desmond Bane, he was cramping up. He had to go out. You put Tristan in. Then you kind of made the switch, and then you put AB back in. So it works out because at this point, both of those guys have been at this level when the Magic dealt with injuries. So both of them very much know what to expect at this level.
Yeah, and whether it's Goga Batase relieving Wendell at times or Jamal Cain, who's got the swaggiest shoes. He had really stepped up the shoe game. We saw that during warm-ups. Boy, you can't say enough about what that guy has given you off the bench. For a player who, was just happy to get a standard contract to now playing pivotal moments, knocking down huge corner three-pointers in this matchup. He's been a series swinger. You need guys to kind of at the back end to play a little bit above what's expected of them to come out with playoff series victory. And I think whether it's AB at times, whether it's Tristan at times, whether Goga's had some big minutes or Jamal Cain, the Magic are getting production from that bench, and that's been absolutely huge.
It sure has. I love that you mentioned Jamal Cain. It really was that Miami game for him that really took off, and the Magic got to see what he can really do. But let's listen to what the guys had to say at shoot-around today.
You feel about your group's mindset heading into Game 4?
Yeah, just cleaning up, what we need to clean up for this game tonight, and just keeping everybody focused. I think the energy is really good, and I think everybody's excited for the opportunity tonight.
The big focus, just our mentality. Understanding what's at stake, how big of a game it is for both of us, how bad we want to protect home court. Talk about the necessary adjustments, possible adjustments for them. And, we feel extremely prepared.
And once you get here with Game 4, I think that's when both teams start to get tired of each other. So that leads to more physical basketball. Probably more that the refs are going to let go away. So you just got to be prepared for the atmosphere and and have to bring the right energy as a group. So I think everybody understands that and knows that, there's a lot of basketball left to be played.
Game 2, they were the aggressor, and I expect nothing different tonight. They're going to try to come out with the same spirit and mentality, and, it's our job to shut that down.
By Hard Rock Bet. You just listened to the guys at Shoot Around talking about this game. Don't forget, tonight's game will be on NBC and Peacock at 8 p.m. with coverage starting at 7:30. But you have us on Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. Kendra Douglas Savage says, thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to get to some more comments before we talk about the Detroit Pistons. One of them from, also, y'all, understand, I'm really trying to get through y'all's names on YouTube. I really don't mean any harm if I say them wrong. But this one, I had to reread over it, and I got this one. Super Duper Fly. Ooh. Yes. He said the Magic have been handling business like professionals, not letting the emotions run the game and not getting distracted by the physicality or trash talk. I love that comment only because I think that now you're seeing what a whole team looks like when everyone is healthy and everyone understands their confidence and they can depend on each other. I think that has helped to that as well.
No doubt about it. And that, mindset gets set forth by Magic head coach Jamal Mosley, who so often says you not only want to focus on one game at a time, focus on one quarter at a time, one possession at a time. And it's that even keel that I think's played such a critical role in this series.
It sure has. Let's talk about this Detroit Pistons squad now. Let's talk about tonight's game. Cade Cunningham is, of course, continuing to lead the Eastern Conference and playoff points per game. And Cade is going to Cade at the end of the day. And he led the Pistons in scoring with 27 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. I don't even know if you even say anything about, how to contain them. What I will say is you see that matchup right there with Franz Wagner. We still love the battle between these two and the way he is able to get in some of those matchups.
Yeah, they're going to get creative with screening, as we saw in the prior play there. Maybe not fully set, but that's the kind of screens you expect the Pistons to set in the playoffs. It's going to be hard fought, and they're going to do that for Cade. And you're going to have to fight over them, and you might not get all the calls you got in game 1 for, screening or et cetera. But what you have to do is fight through it and make it as difficult on Cade as possible. 9 assists, which is high. You want to try to keep that down. Mm-hmm. But 9 turnovers to offset that is where you want to live, in that 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. If you could keep that occurring and keep him under 35% shooting from the field, you'll live with that. You'll take that any day of the week.
Before we get to your storylines, here's a really funny one. Sources says, media says, I actually like physicality. Ooh. Physicality. We need that tonight. Yes, we need this Magic team to bring that physicality and dominate in this game. But let's get to
physicality out of this series.
Exactly. I know, right? Really. Let's get to your storylines for tonight's game. What do you got for us, Savage?
All right. Number 1. Somebody touched on this in the chat, and that's one game at a time mindset. That's been so effective for them in this series. You got to bring that tonight. Game 3 is over with it. You can't rest on those laurels. Focus on this one tonight. Get it, and then focus on the next one after that. Next, end Detroit's run sooner. The Magic have done so much well this series, but in Game 2 and then again in Game 3, they let a Detroit run go on a little bit longer than it needed to. Got to cut that off, because you might not live to survive if you allow them to have another one of those tonight. And then we're going to go with everybody in once again.
Like it.
To a man. I think everybody in that Magic's locker room, everybody who came up to the podium, which felt like everybody who played in or coached in that game, talked about the effect the crowd had in that one, whether it be with the start or with the finish. They were in it the whole game, and they really helped swing the momentum in the Magic's favor. They need that again tonight. Make it a sea of blue, make the Pistons feel you, and get the Magic to continue to defend home court.
Yeah, right after the Magic get this win, they'll head to Detroit. Let's take a look at that schedule, because the Magic, they will be in Detroit for Game 5. Here is the schedule for it. So playing on April 29th at 7 p.m. And of course, the next games will be TBD, but we don't need to even talk about really the next game.
They usually put that asterisk up there with if needed. We don't want them to be needed.
No.
Just finish it off tonight and in Detroit, and come back home to get some rest.
Yes.
That would be nice.
That's what we want. I also want to mention, because Joanne Steely said, happy belated birthday, Mo Wagner. Mo Wagner's birthday was yesterday. He is someone, here's what I love. Mo Wagner, I think, doesn't, he just has that coach instinct in him. There was one moment where Tony Brothers had to walk across and tell him to stop talking to the refs, because one thing about Mo, he is going to defend his teammates. And that's what you love.
His teammates, his brother, anybody wearing a blue T-shirt, Mo Wagner's got your back. And the thing about Mo, he's such a cerebral guy that he knows the rule book in and out. When he was rehabbing his ACL, he spent time with the coaches, learned the playbook, learned the rhythm of the game even more so. So he's perfectly comfortable hopping up and letting the officials know about it, even if it's a little too much for them at times.
And my last comment before we get out of here, because this one, media says, awesome take by Dan. End runs early. We let runs go on way too long. Call a timeout and adjust. The adjusting part is really big for this Magic squad. You played this team now 3 times. You already know what you're going to get out of them. So, yes, it's about adjusting and not letting them get those runs. So, great take by you there.
Yeah, no, and to the Magic's credit, they may have ended that Pistons run a little bit earlier. When you look back at the tape, Wendell Carter got called for offensive interference with his own dunk, and when you look at the replay, there was a hand coming through that, could have been called for goaltending, and really let that run continue. It was a big swing in that one. So, and then we had the AB bucket as well that was taken away. So they had opportunities over the course of the game to probably put them away sooner that were taken away. But regardless, you can't let them go unchecked for that kind of period of time. You have to find ways to do it. Couldn't agree more.
Yes, so that'll do it for us on Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. Up next, Magic will go head-to-head against the Detroit Pistons in Game 3 of this series. Game 4? Game 3. Game 4.
Game 4, yes.
So many
You're
games.
so focused on one game at a time, you have trouble moving on to the next one.
I am
But
game 4 of this series against the Detroit Pistons, looking to get a win here in the Kia Center. That'll do it for us. We will see you, though, online for Game 5, so make sure you lock back in with us for that 7 p.m. tip-off game for Game 5 in Detroit. That'll do it for us on Courtside Countdown. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Continue to keep the comments going. We look forward to seeing you on Game 5, and have a good night, you guys.
Yeah, we in the O. Lights glow. Game time feel. Get the game time feel. Courtside countdown. Yeah, you know the deal. Yeah. Step in the arena, feel the baseline pound. Clock ticking down on the courtside countdown. Breaking plays down, every move dissected. Magic on the rise, yeah, the squad well respected. From the draft picks to the hardwood grind, young stars flashing, got that future shine. Fast breaks, no breaks. Crowd get loud, every highlight moment got the city feeling proud. Talk stats, match